when you thought one best of 5 wasn't enough, let's head on over to another. Brace yourself for Elysium versus Calamity in the winner finals. Best of 5. Hello everybody, good evening from me, Mathis, your host for tonight, as well as Direwolf, whom I've also got on the casting booth. Say hello.
Hello everyone, we are here for an insane best of 5 between Calamity and Elysium, and celebration setting off here, and we will celebrate the first down coming in on the fun bus. Pedro not being too aware yet of the insane curving that Behavior has recently added to the Billy. Now he's stronger than ever, but this is definitely a shocking start here. First hook stage coming in just after a couple of seconds here. Zeno going to feel very, very nice about that, getting the pain rush stack in as well, over to going for the Pentimento early on as well. Very interesting combination here with the Hex Tortoise, but Mathis, this is a dream start for our Billy.
Oh, absolutely. This is a perk combination I have not seen anyone bring in on Hillbilly yet, so maybe it's already been sort of used in the tournament, as I'm also not able to watch every single game. But yeah, Pentimento, Undying, and Ruin. Now that's got a lot of potential for it, as Zeno has already got a hook at the start of the game practically, as well as a Pentimento, which, as everybody at this point knows, one stacks up. Well, goodbye Gen Progress, because that takes years. As we see Lactron already prioritizing cleansing the Hex Toading and eliminating it from this trial, as Pedro himself is also getting closer and closer to elimination himself, as Zeno is fully committed to the camp here with the Raised Chainsaw. Now, with the overdrive ability that's now been implemented, must not forget, I mean, obviously you've got the anti-camping mechanism, but in the tournament that it is banned, so Zeno is very capable of just holding his chainsaw up, standing right in front of the hook. So if anyone tries to save, goodbye. That's at least a trade, and if it's one person coming in, you're never saving that, and if it's two, that's at least one person going down.
Going down is for now just the tree over here, but the question is, will we see Pedro being in the tunnel out? And I think the idea is yes, but Zeno having a little bit of difficulty to reach over. Here we do have the totem along with the Ballet, and the curve just barely missing Pedro here. Good run so far, but we do need a little bit of assistance here. Potentially this one is not going to be successful though, allowing Pedro to take a little bit of distance here. Off the into Pedro. This was such a great one that came unexpected. I'm pretty sure Pedro was getting a jump scare from that teleporting Billy coming out from Zeno here. If that was intended, and it really looked like he knew exactly that he's going to bounce off that car, then this was one hell of a move right here onto the next chase, onto laser. Calamity here not getting a single second to breathe through. They are constantly under pressure.
Zeno on the Sin Call, allowing him to get a kill at 4 generators remaining. Zeno also bringing in probably the strongest add-on combination that is allowed in our rule set, as Lopro is easily currently the strongest add-on with this Hillbilly now out, and Engravings and T-Mix. Wow, what a combination of 2 add-ons. You've got obviously the bonus speed from the Engravings in his chainsaw, and the T-Mix just making his chainsaw so unbelievably powerful, but Laser somehow manages to spin out the ability, crouching several times as it does make the size of your hitbox tremendously smaller, but Laser is eventually going to bite the dust as 2 more generators pop in the distance. So Calamity not in a position to give up whatsoever, as you hear the second pain rush scream in the distance. Lactron did not let go, and we're really seeing how unbelievably powerful Billy is now after this change has struck. Zeno is going for these extremely overzealous curves around tiles. And I've even tried playing this killer myself, even though I've hardly ever played Hillbilly, but he's just so much fun now. Do bloody 90-degree curves on tiles, it is unbelievable. He's already been showing up to 180-degree turns around, and it really shows how unbelievably powerful this killer is in chase now.
Now this is... Billy has received an absolute dream update, and all the Billy players must celebrate Behavior, really making him to a very dangerous killer here, especially in the competitive setting, and that's Lactrin going down here as well. 5th stage coming in very soon here. The survivors having 3 generators completed, but the struggle is really becoming real. We still have the Hex Ruin in play when we are using the chainsaw for mobility, pushing off the survivors here. The regression is going to come in paired with 1 remaining stack of the Pain Res as well here. Really strong against the survivor team of Calamity here, and Xeno not going for any hook securing, not going to go for the nearby area, instead just going very confidently cross map, and immediately he will be back already going into the chase with either the rescuer or the recently unhooked survivor. It seems to be that Xeno, though, decides to check on the generator as well. So he finds a good balance between chasing the survivors down and keeping an eye on to the generators. Meanwhile, we are going to have Hein over here with a little bit of the mind game around the tile, and it won't be enough here as well. That's going to be straight up into the next down. Halftime on the hook stages. 6 of them done, 1 survivor already eliminated. Mathis, what's your prediction for the rest of the game here?
4K2, 6 stages in already. Usually you'd see 6 stages and then 2 people dead, right? At least that's what I'm getting used to, having watched so many Yokarex games, because we all know our guy loves going for those tunnel outs as quickly as possible. But yeah, Laser and Lactrin injured. We see how that's going to immediately pay the price. Lactrin might be on one of the corner generators trying to get 1 last gen pop and a slightly easier win condition, but no, alas, he will also bite the dust. And that's a 4K. 2 generators remaining. Hillbilly with his overclocked chainsaw, limitations removed entirely. You know, that's a pretty good idea. We should give that to the Cannibal as well, right? Imagine no more tokens, perma chainsaw, and every once in a while he overdrives to 150 speed.
This is, it's just crazy to watch this, and I do believe that this is showing us also how intense this update actually turned out. A lot of people said, after Billy update, I want to see Billy in comp now. I want to see how he really is being played on the strongest hands in the community and how the survivor team can deal with it. Well, we know the answer now. Calamity cannot really deal with a Billy like that, at least not when it's in Xeno's hands. 4K2 would have been an unbelievable Billy result a couple of weeks ago, so let's see if that is going to go on. But we will need a very intense rematch here on the other side. We are going to hop into a campfire chat, ladies and gentlemen, to compensate that we have quickly moved into the first trial, and I know that my wonderful partner Mathis here has a few things prepared for us. What have you digged out of the archive here?
Exactly. So one thing I always love doing is also just going over the history of these 2 teams within the tournament. So in the finals, once more, what does that exactly mean? Neither of these teams have lost a single matchup in the past. Overall, however, Elysium surprisingly dropped more sets in the past than Calamity have throughout this tournament. They've dropped exactly 2 sets, whereas Calamity have only dropped 1 set overall. So in the semifinals, if you're only looking at the winner bracket, because technically this is also the overall semifinals for this tournament, as we've got the winner finals and the lower bracket finals, which then compiles into the grand finals. But yeah, in the semifinals of the higher brackets, Calamity won Nurse and Plague in the semis against Night Owls, and Elysium lost the Doc set, but then won Wraith and Oni against X9. As you all know, X9 and Night Owls were both dropped to the lower bracket, and also a while back, by now, a while back, Night Owls are already eliminated from the tournament, whereas X9 made it to lower finals, which you've all just seen. But yeah, if we take a look at the overall bracket, it's really interesting to look at how both of these teams have made it so far. So if we look at Elysium's path, they 2-0'd Infinity, they 2-1 Dionyx, they 2-1 X9, and we're now in the winner finals. So we get 1 lost set from both of these previous matchups, but they managed to come back every single time. So even if Calamity managed to, at some point, get the upper hand here, Elysium still have very, very nice odds of taking it back regardless. But this is also, Hillbilly, is their first killer pick, and right now with a 4K, 2 generators remaining, it is looking very nicely like it's going to be Elysium's win, or first set win as well. And if we take a look at Calamity's side of things, they started this tournament with a 2-0 against Misery, then they 2-1 against Synapse. Also, not to forget, that's the team that Yokarex played for, the killer that's at several occasions has come in clutch for his team, and they did drop the set against him once, and then they also 2-0'd Night Owls. And if we look or have a quick overview at all the killers they've picked, or the killers that we are going to look at in the near future with Elysium and Calamity, we've got Hillbilly first, then it's Cenobite right after, followed by Blight, Wraith, and Oni. So, the history with these two teams also really interesting to look at. Calamity and Elysium both won the Oni set against their respective opponents, and they've also chosen this to be essentially the tiebreaker, the 5th set between each other. And Oni was also the round that Synapse was able to send Ariando flying out in round number 1 with Yokert on the Oni, as we also had the two very close 4Ks, the 4K 2 and 1, which have occurred twice, funnily enough also. So Oni is really interesting to look at, and most of these killers, our teams have not had much experience within the tournament. We have seen Wraith and we have seen Oni before, and Wraith was won by Elysium and Oni as well, and Oni was also won by Calamity. So it's really interesting to look at how Calamity decided to pick Wraith against Elysium, the team that has already got a track record winning Wraith.
Yeah.
And Oni is... That's really a really interesting pick in my opinion, because both of these teams have already won sets in the past. But as most people also constantly hype up in chat, Zaka Oni, that is one killer to behold.
Yeah, the Wraith is a very important character to mention there, because that confused me as well when we were going through the picks and bans and I saw that Wraith is coming up here. I was like, either they are having something super well prepared and have something where they want to throw them off, or they are unaware what their opponents are capable of here. One of the two. I would actually say, based on the skill we are talking about here this late in the tournament, I would say they are actually ready to meet up with the strong performance. Have something prepared. But for now, we're going to see if Marco has prepared his Hillbilly well enough to meet up the win condition here. Remember, we had 3 generators completed in the previous trial, meaning that you would need to get a 4K on just 2 gens completed to go for a win here. And so far, Marco doing a lot of turning and a lot of curving, but not finding the down just yet. Granout here doing a good job, making it back towards the filler pallet right here. And this one is going to end up in the boxes of the Blood Lodge. Can we go for another one? That's going to be the question here. Really trying to turn about the curve, and that's going to be enough. Avoiding the hit coming in here by beautifully playing this rock, and Marco keeps trying to go for the curves here, but they are not going to land. That's not the start we're looking for.
Yeah, to all the Hillbilly mains out there, you know he's already lost because he's put the Iridescent and the green add-on in the wrong order. Has to be on the left. Come on, Marco. Anyway, he's got a completely different build than what we saw in our previous trial. Brought in by Xeno. Yeah, speaking of the devil, Xeno on the royal skin. And we've got Marco with, perfectly timed firecracker, not even allowing me to speak here. We've got Marco with Pop and Bamboozle. Did Xeno bring Bamboozle last trial? I don't think he did he?
I think so,
because of the Pentimento and Ruin. And Undying, yeah, couldn't have been. Exactly, couldn't have been. So Xeno not even going for the incredibly crucial chase perk. Generally, or the general consensus on that is that Bamboozle is basically a necessity. And we're seeing that right now. Marco gonna be able to use Bamboozle on this wall. Broken tile in the game, as obviously everybody knows. Trying to go for a snipe on Xeno, but he perfectly managed to fake out, dodging right, and we've now got a Shack Pallet standoff. And Xeno just gonna force the M1 out here. Marco getting impatient and throwing hands right at the boxer skin. And we haven't, there we go, we finally got the down onto Xeno, but only after the first gen's already popped. And in previous trial, we saw Xeno with much more momentum into the game. And as you've pointed out, Marco is turning and curving, he's huffing and puffing, and he's blowing Xeno right over the ground. He's first down finally coming in, and pop goes the Weasel for getting some attention as well.
Yeah, this is the biggest worry, right? The time factor here, especially with the win condition of only being allowed of maximum 3 generators being gone, and then we only talk about the tie condition here. This was a very late down, 2 generators already completed, and Zeno going on a run here. Marco really trying to catch David, but it's not going to work just yet. We are breaking another pallet. We actually don't. It was a fake all along, going over to the next side, but not
beautiful.
reaching Zeno in time. He had enough distance, and he will make it back towards the pallet here, wins the standoff as well, won't go into the vault here, will make it back towards the next pallet that is immediately dropped here as well. Zeno finding the perfect balance between playing as a bait and using the pallets for enough safety to slip away from the Billy. Is going kinda towards the common corner here, forcing the M1, and that's generator number 3. So we are only talking about a possible tie being achieved by Marco here, and every additional generator will now already seal the D, and the 4th generator is coming out very soon, 90% already on that one. Will Marco win the guessing game? Will he be able to make it over? And the answer is 9, because he, no, starting with the Germany as well now, because this is so hyped, but he's getting distracted by the survivor right next to the main building, and he's basically giving up on the win con.
But you can still just see the strength of Billy. He was able to 180 on that pallet there without even bringing any turning add-ons. Yeah, it's never a good decision to trying to tunnel out Arne and Royalus. Hillbilly is gonna opt to go for the M1, or the way he used to say it way back in the day, if anyone remembers Royalus. I bet there's plenty of people out there in chat at least. Xeno will be able to tank another base kit, borrowed time, endurance, but yeah, Marco's still trying his absolute hardest to get at least one survivor out of the trial finally. Also very interesting to see windows of opportunity. Okay, that's the Gen Tech, I guess, with the windows of opportunity into the wave and into the adrenaline. Xeno with the ultimate BM. What is going on? I've never seen... No, I have seen 72 hours use chests back in the day to dodge killers, but never have I ever seen someone dodge a hillbilly chainsaw by the hillbilly generator just by holding down M1. So yeah, absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, Xeno finally going to pay back, or going to receive payback after all the BMing, and he's going to get clean curved by Marco, and he's finally going to secure his first kill after every single generator has already been popped. No, it took so long, they might have even popped all 7, might have even 99 all the 3 last generators. Royals with the, or Zeno, with the incredible chase throughout the entire trial, and this is just a perfect portrayal of how differently these games can go if you've got a confident chaser against Billy.
Yeah, this is the reason why Zeno is so known in the community, because whenever you think we have seen everything in DBDL and we have seen every kind of play, every kind of tactical approach, any kind of comeback mechanism or strategy, then Zeno is coming and shows you one more thing that you haven't experienced that yet. But one thing we can say for sure, this was an insane performance by Elysium here. Really, really well done. We are going to set up the second set. Elysium with the 1-0, feeling really confident. Calamity under pressure after just a couple of minutes into this best of 5 here. We will catch you right after a short break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Red Shop and the, shall we say, Cenobite, considering the survivor we have in the game, Zaka, Royalty, and Granout joining him on the side of Elysium after a phenomenal game on the Billy on the Blood Lodge. We do have Marco once again after a rough Billy game. He now needs to make sure that we are good to go here and that Calamity can take some pressure onto the survivors. First chase coming out once again onto, oh no, this time it's not going to be Zeno. It's like, are we instantly going into the revenge here? But it's going to be Granout taking the chase. Had a good run against the Billy earlier in the trial, and we do have a very nice patience here, vaulting the pallet slowly, still making a little bit of distance but not getting too far away. And if we will not receive assistance, and it seems like there is none except the potential pallet save, which he isn't in enough as well, then we have a very early hook stage to reward here, especially with the pain rest that is available to Marco. That could be a way better start than the previous set.
I really like the change of pace that we've going on here. You know, we've just come from the Hillbilly, the killer that goes all over the map and then immediately one-shots, to now Cenobite, who has hardly any ability with his ability outside of teleporting to the box that someone is currently attempting to solve. Sorry, the Lament configuration, of course. And Marco also bringing the very classic Impaling Wire and Original Pain add-ons. And to anyone who doesn't know exactly what these add-ons are for, Impaling Wire, so every time you use the Terran to break a chain, another one will spawn right after. And Original Pain, if you break free from all the chains while you're injured, it will put you into status effect. So tunneling and Original Pain are practically a match made in heaven. As soon as someone is unhooked, you can just immediately chain them, and if they break free from all their chains, boom, that base could borrow time is gone, and you don't even get the speed from that you usually get after getting hit right after. We see Grenade already progressing to the second stage at 5 generators remaining, but don't want to speak too soon because I am very much anticipating 3 generators to pop in the very near future. However, Marco is still struggling to even find out where any of the survivors are.
Yeah, the question is how high the punishment will be, because Elysium really doesn't seem to care about Grenade too much here if they are getting the generators as priority here. Therefore, we need to make sure that the price that Marco is paying is not too high, because he needs to be aware that a couple of generators are being worked on, and then the next chase will become a really deciding factor here. If the next chase is taking too long, we might already be able to reach the end game, because Marco was not getting a lot of pallets out of the way here, as Grenade didn't need a lot besides Shack and the nearby filler pallet that he couldn't reach. So therefore, Ratchet Shop still offering countless of resources to the survivor team, and if the upcoming chase is taking too long, we might face a very incredible punishment right here. Marco using the chain as a kind of an information tool, trying to check from far away who's working on the generators, and we do see him lurking around the corner once again. Xeno with the bait here, dragging him into the chase, but Marco staying with the cool head, not going to turn onto the David here, trying to snipe Zaka, not going to work out, but we are moving dangerously far away from the generators that could potentially be worked on.
Yeah, who cares about generators when you can kill? Goodbye, Grenade already immediately killed. Not a single soul even attempted to get our dear Grenade off the hook, so Marco was able to secure that kill with extreme ease, as no one was even trying to contest it. And the next man to be in chase is going to be Zaka. Flicks the camera, baits the pallet, and he's got the amazing God filler. That's usually what it's called against dogs, at least, because it's got so much potential. You can run around practically every single loop and still make it to the pallet, unless you're banged in this case. So Marco hit that splendidly, was able to get that first hit onto Zaka, still trying to catch him off guard around the 4 lane, but unfortunately Zaka didn't try dodging by lying flat on the ground, and Marco is just going to floor instead. Zaka will now find the, I think they've got the weak variation in this case. Yeah, Zaka is going to bite the dust, sadly. He's chained around the corner, does not manage to break free as the penultimate generator pops in the distance. We see a healthy Royalty and Royal is still running around the map as Marco secures his 4th stage of the game. And only now does he get his second, not even second failures in. So Marco is still sleeping on that a bit, basically hasn't got any value out of that perk. He realistically only got it out of Grenade at the start of the trial, but it's debatable how much value that even is. And Marco still has 1 perk up his sleeve that is going to turn around endgame greatly, with lots of potential for the no one escapes death here, as Xeno's holding strictly W right away from Marco, trying to maximize the distance between each other, but Marco will still be able to hit the chain and might just get the first hit onto Xeno here on this tile, but of course he has the pallet here. Xeno goes for a pallet reverse, but it's to the other side.
Yeah, this is now also becoming interesting because we really want to see the rematch between Marco and Zeno, but Marco needs to make sure that that he's not going to be dragged away too much. So I really understand his decision making of turning around and going back here towards the generators, because you really don't want to face the end game too soon here. At least a couple of additional stages before moving into it would be great, and that's going to be enough though. On to Zaka here, that's going to be the quick down, and I don't think anyone is around here. So Elysium at least going to give up on the second stage onto Zaka here, potentially grinding onto the last generator, and we all see that no one escapes death being in play here. Keep in mind that the teams have to lock in their builds here, so we might not see a know it in preparation for the upcoming game here, which could be a potentially end game speed run for Marco. If done well, Royalty is going to receive the chains here, but not going to be in danger. Zaka 60 seconds away from elimination. The hook location not ideal considering where the remaining generators are. Zaka is going to stay here a little bit longer, facing elimination now in 40 seconds. Zeno taking the chains as well, trying constantly to drag Marco away into an area where it would be more comfortable for the survivors, but I really like that Marco is not going to respond to all the little provocations that he's facing here by Zeno, staying cool-headed and doing what he has to do. I'm a little bit worried about the generator towards the shack side, because there is potentially a double up coming in, but so far not going to get a result. So we might move all the way into the 6 stages in a double elimination before going into the end game, especially since Zeno is lurking over here in the jungle gym, not progressing the generators right now, and with the no one escapes death still being in the back pocket, there might be a good turn for Marco here, and there might be a lot of additional stages here, especially since Zeno and Royalty are both fresh hooks, so you don't really need to consider who to chase in the end game. One of the two would push you towards 9 stages, and that would be a very luxury result if they even get the final generator.
I am impressed by Marcus' composure and patience on those hooks. He's been extremely lucky with finding the scorch hook right next to main building, since that was Royalty's 50% generator. Is also going to decide to go for the M1 onto Royalty, but he will be able to get the... No, he won't be able to get the balanced landing in time. Extremely unfortunate. It is going to be a tag onto our Clanet player Royalty. And it's like Marco is turning around immediately, suspecting that someone might already touching his girl Jen right next to Shaq. And yeah, we did see Zeno return to it immediately after Royalty was scared off it. And he will be able to split the pressure now. He knows, Marco knows exactly where Royalty now is. Well, since he's just been solving the Lament configuration, you know, also showing off that he can spin out that ability extremely efficiently if you manage to get the timing and we get the smash it combo into the flashlight save. But we see our dear Marco just turning around immediately, checking on his generators, as he does not want to risk losing these. Okay, at 1 generators remaining, that he is very well set up to achieving, as he's got 1 survivor injured and only 1 other healthy survivor standing, so no hits will be taken whatsoever for the remainder of the trial, and if so, at very, very high cost. Something we should have seen more frequently, in my opinion, with Grenout, because that survivor was sort of just left behind at the start, and as there were no hits taken for our dear Grenout at the beginning of the trial, he was downed very, very quickly, and Zeno is showing how you can maximize the value from the vault. Oh, he's going to medium vault it, and that's going to render a hit for Marco. Extremely unfortunate, but this is where Zeno is going to bite the dust, and it's all eyes on Royalty now. What generator is he pressuring, and how far is the progress?
Yeah, I'm really not sure if the calculation on the side of Elysium was on point, but at least they get the final generator done, and once again the adrenaline play coming in clutch here. Zeno making some distance and will be responsible to take a longer run, so Zaka can, Royalty can go all the way towards the exit gate, open it and escape. Therefore, jumping into a locker is the best option here, because you force the killer into a grab, and that wastes as much time as possible. And since we do not have a no way out, I would say that Royalty has enough time over there. We will see if that's the case, and Royalty did not. He was not rotating over in time, will be forced to hide next to the rock here. And this brings me back. You mentioned time and you mentioned calculation earlier, and as well as it worked for Xeno to be the bait and the distractor in the Billy set, I feel like as much they got punished in this set here, because Marco did not respond to it at all. He really ignored Xeno every single time. He didn't get dragged away. He wasn't giving him enough attention, and therefore we saw it wonderfully when Zaka was dying on the hook. Xeno being busy in the jungle gym, trying to distract Marco, trying to work as a bait and not progressing the generators. And I feel like this inefficiency on the side of Elysium is really what came into a punishment back to them like a boomerang, because Marco was playing so cool-headed and so well done and focused on his goal here. Marco is trying to scout the area a little bit here using his chains. Royalty still hiding over here behind the rock, potentially waiting it out all the way until Marco will be forced to go for the hatch and then striking on the exit gate. But so Royalty really not being in the most luxury position, and Marco already gaining some confidence here, moving further away from the hook, not going to risk anything. That was not enough to catch Royalty, though. Xeno intentionally not hitting the skill checks to die a little bit faster. Marco will now head back towards the shack to prevent Royalty from taking the hatch. That will take him some time, and then if Royalty is jumping onto the exit gate in the perfect timing, that would be the chance here to escape. But Marco takes one additional check on the exit gate here, kinda expecting that Royalty is already waiting there, and it seems like that he's very good with his read here, but sooner or later he will be forced to close the hatch, latest after 5 minutes.
Oh, I think I get the strategy here. So Marco is operating on process of elimination. Yep, he's about to find him. Or Royalty's making a run for it. So Marco saw that there were no scratches anywhere near shack, so Royalty could be at hatch or that exit gate because they were right next to each other. So he knew he had to be at the other gate. So he just went, completely risked it. We did see him second guess for a second because he was expecting Royalty to run extremely early, which he didn't. He stayed on the exit gate, and now Marco knew he must be hiding somewhere edge map around this gate because he would have already escaped via hatch by that point. So he will be able, just based off that, to 4K via process of elimination. 4K1 does, or 0, sorry, 4K0 does come through. No, it's barely going to help him whatsoever. That no way out would have given him much more security, but he played it as perfectly as he could. My man didn't care about the game. He just wanted to camp, and it played out perfectly. They call him selfish because he focuses on himself, but nah, Marco has just worked this perfectly throughout the entire trial. Just phenomenal composure on these hooks, did not slip at all, didn't allow anyone to contest his hooks, and it played out perfectly. I've never seen such uninterrupted camping by a killer. I think Elysium expected to have much better gen pressure throughout the trial, but we did see Xeno relatively close to the hook constantly, so that was one entire survivor working on not working on the generators. And I think if they had 3 split from the beginning and just fully committed to it, this could have turned out differently, but they just did not want to let anyone go, while also not committing to the unhook or the risky plays trying to give any of Zaka or Grenade a second chance.
Yeah, this is important to mention here because really what I feel like it came down to is this calculation that really didn't work out. As you mentioned, with the 3 split from the start, from the beginning, 3 generators done, then a longer chase, it would have been all perfect. But basically Marco at the beginning and later on when Zaka was hooked again, he was basically hooking 2 survivors because Xeno was voluntarily giving up on the generator pressure, trying to bait Marco. And what really worked in the Billy set was a little bit overstretched and turning into overcommitment by the survivor team when talking about the tactical approach here, because Marco speed learned the strategy of Elysium. He saw it in the Billy game, was aware that Xeno is the distraction, and then immediately adjusting the gameplay. And this is something that shouldn't fall under the table here, this insane and quick adjustment in the killer strategy by Marco. Seen it once, immediately, and perfectly counterplaying to this. So absolutely great play so far. Calamity on a good spot towards taking the 1-1 here. Mathis, are you confident that it's going to work out for them to take it back here?
You know, in the football game, we would call this a Marco masterclass, just strategically getting ahead of Team Elysium, and that result was quite impressive. However, we still need to see Elysium's response on the Cenobite game that we are about to load into, with most likely Zaka representing his team on the killer side against the survivors of Team Calamity. After a short break, all of our questions will be answered, whether or not this first or the second set will cause the score to tie up at a 1-1, or whether Elysium will blast full steam ahead with a 2-0 lead into this best of 5. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back after a quick break. Hello, everybody, and welcome back after a very quick break, I'd say, with now Zaka on the killer side for his team Elysium, immediately finding the killer of Producer's Trial. Is he going to attempt to get some payback? It doesn't seem like it. Zaka's immediately going to leave that chase as Marco is on Shaq and doesn't want to bother contesting Shaq credit, but it seems like he was trying to just find the box here, but Laser perfectly beat him to it, will be able to get the first box. Zaka opts to teleport, but Laser could not have set that up any better. He was ready with the balanced landing on top of the hill, immediately makes it to main, and I was gonna say, I doubt he's going to, oh no, yeah, I was gonna say, I doubt he's going to take a hit anytime soon, because he will also be able to find the next pillar and immediately leaves the tile after Zaka misses the chain. And will he find a filler, or is this just another dead zone? Okay, it's a Z-wall, so Zaka, good luck. Ooh, the 50-50s. Nah, he's ultimately going to get the hit, unlike some of the killers we've seen in previous trials. So Zaka still trying to catch Laser here, perfectly dodges the chain once more as the chase continues. Never mind.
That was a painful hit through the pallet. I'm not entirely sure how that looked on Laser's end, but oi, that is really not what you're trying to face here, because that was a really good chase for the start of the game. Interesting to see also that we do have the know-it, so Zaka was preparing for a confident survivor team when locking in his build before we went into the Cenobite set here, so that's really good understanding of the opponents, I would say, because we already have 2 generators about to be completed. We already have a good chase as an opener as well, and Zaka feels the pressure. In opposite to the previous trial, we will not just see the straight up camp here. Zaka realizes that there is pressure going on the objective, so he kind of finds a middle ground, at least camping the mid of the red shop and trying to find in a potentially rotating survivor that is assigned to the rescue here, trying all the way on to Marco here with the chains. Really nice snipe. Get down, ladies and gentlemen, and there's going to be the next one on to 70% already, and another one from Zaka here. I remember when Cenobite was first coming out and played in competitive, it was actually Zaka who invented kind of this strategy with sniping across the map to use it as an information tool here, and we can still say that he's an absolute masterclass on doing so. We are rotating back towards the hook here, which is understandable considering that we want to ensure that Laser is going into the second stage here, but so far I would say Survivor team has a good reason to be confident, and they have everything it takes to move it towards a successful game.
We see a much more dynamic playstyle from Zaka, but in the end, when comparing the results, it is not at all different to what we've seen on Marco, on top of the fact that they are both bringing the exact same build. So, Dyer, I know you're a teacher, so in this case, I'm sorry, we're never gonna find out who copied whose homework. In this case, we've got these exact same builds twice coming in back to back. Zaka still trying to snipe survivors on these generators, but he's not landing any targets. And this time around also, we are seeing that Laser is left behind on the generator, but our survivors have much better gen pressure this time around. However, it looks like our Cenobite player, Zaka, is right in between a nasty 3-gen on main, if I'm not mistaken. Oh no, he does. Oh no, there is one left at Shaq. I spoke too soon. So, overall, this is looking much better for Team Calamity. You were already teasing that we might have a tie after our 1-1 after the first 2 sets, and now I must say it is looking very much like it.
Yeah, this is really rough now, and so much responsibility on Marco's shoulders now, and after he just played a confident killer game, I'm really optimistic that he will pull a very good chase here as well. Zaka realizes that immediately, teleporting over towards the survivor on the box, but they are going to make this very safe pallet here as well. 25% on the hill generator, and as you mentioned, a very wonderful setup on the generators as well. Whoever takes the next chase will have the responsibility of pushing it to endgame or not, because if the survivor is staying alive long enough, there will be the 5th generator coming out. There's no doubt about that, and it seems like it will be our very questionable dressed Dwight, aka Marco, coming out here onto the next chase. As said, he just played very, very wonderfully, so he has a good reason to be confident on the survivor side. Berserker already onto him with the chain, unfortunately missing that one. 60% over here. They are rotating in, they are going for the double up on the generator. That won't be enough. Zaka is rotating back towards the generator, so for now the objectives will stay under control, but soon the percentages are onto the gens, and Zaka will not be able to hold it any longer. What we need is basically a 2-tap here to go for the necessary pressure onto the survivor. We need a 2-tap and an immediate hook stage, and so far it doesn't look like that, because Hein is now doing a good job here, wasting a little bit of time onto the edge map, also holding W away, and if Marco is already rotating towards that final generator, they might get it in time.
You know, a minute ago, I would have already told you, in my opinion, this game is over. We've got 1 or 2 gens right opposite from one another on the map. So realistically, one guy should just take chase. Yep, and there we go. And then they just pop it. So it all depends now on Zaka's comeback with the no one escapes death. However, both of these gates are so far from one another. So yeah, we all even see Marco going for the pickup. So I think he's just going to pick him up, and then they're just going to split on the gate. As long as a single stage escapes the X through the gate, it's already GG's, and Calamity will take second set point, as you see, or even for the people. Don't want to waste any time on the heel, and 2 survivors are once again standing, and they should, if all they need to do is just split, and then they're out. So yeah, we see Marco taking chase next, and even if Zaka manages to get these chases done ludicrously quickly, it is not going to be enough, because there's just so much distance between these survivors, between these gates. We even see now both of these survivors at the other gate. They should be out now.
Yeah, I'm still a little bit worried here, because Zaka is making perfectly timed turnarounds and catching the survivors before they can go for the exit gate, but we can see it here very wonderfully with this chain here. It was perfectly split between these survivors. That's going to be a quick down onto Pedro, but it happened in a locker, so a few seconds are wasted. I think you are forced to drop these survivor. Yeah, they are going for the next exit opener, 25%, but I do think that will be enough time for Zaka, and we have the chain on starting as well, so they will not be able to work on the doors just now. Going to come in for the chains here as well, so Marco will be busy for a little bit. Hein is rotating over onto Pedro, going to pick him up. Mathis, this could potentially turn last second.
Okay, I said nothing. How? You know, the gates are right next to each other, but... yeah, he makes it out. Yeah, he's out. I was gonna say, one of these survivors have to leave sooner or later. We've got 3 survivors standing. There is no shot, not a single survivor escapes, even with Nod, but they were already all injured to begin with. So this is going to be a difference of 9 to 12 stages in the second category, as all 5 generators have popped. Therefore, that tie condition is met, but there's a big difference with the stages, as we just saw Marco, our killer from last game, also escape fresh through the exit gate. So ladies and gentlemen, oh, there's a wiggle out also. So ladies and gentlemen, we've got at least 4 sets on our hands tonight. Maybe even 5 if we even go to tiebreaker or tie one of the other sets. There's still lots of room. Got a very long night regardless. I hope you're all ready and are going to be staying tuned on what is to come next. Zaka will finally take the prize of downing Pedro, and the hook should be inevitable. And unless Hein has tenacity, there is no way he makes it up the exit gate in time. Either Zaka is just going to find him within the next minute, or he bleeds out. But it is definitely going to be an yeah, exactly. Very, very nice of Hein to also just stay out in the open and not even try to go for the exit gate, to just fasten things up a bit. And we do get the 9 stages result regardless. It is going to be 9 to 12 stages. Calamity take set number 2 now officially. And we will go over to the third set very soon with Blight on Suffocation Pit. So far, these teams have won their own pick. And next, we've got Blight with being Elysium's pick. Maybe we'll get another 2-1 for Elysium. And then Wraith, the first of the I do think, yeah, those are the first killers that are going to be very interesting to look at after I've already given you the lecture or the presentation, the list of results from the previous trials in the campfire chat after trial number 1. So yeah, let's see how this is going to wrap up with the Blight set in the upcoming set.
Welcome back, everyone. After 2 very mechanical killers, we are now going to a speedy one and a high-intensity gameplay with Xeno on the Blight. Suffocation Pit on our hands, and let's see if he's able to find the first survivor. Here on the outside of the main building, we do not find anyone just yet, but we do have what's potentially turning into a very painful perk build for the survivors. Later on, depending on the early game pressure, we do have Pop Goes the Weasel for the back pocket. If Hex Ruin is being cleansed early, we have Dying Light on top here to go for a lot of stages, and that perk build is also telling us how Xeno is planning this trial. He wants to split the hook stages and he wants to spread the pressure as much as possible here, and we already get the first injury onto Laser. Moving over towards this jungle gym over here, dropping the pallet early, but Xeno just going to follow one more stack, not going to be enough. Rotating back towards the generator where no survivor has been found. A little bit of a chaotic start here that leads towards a time loss of Xeno, 80 seconds and no down yet.
You know, maybe I missed something, but doesn't Elysium have V1 on their roster? We're seeing Xeno on the Blight instead. Now, gotta say, Xeno with his playstyle is generally very aggressive on Survivor and on all the killers he plays. So his Blight is also extremely experienced, because I remember in 2021 scrimming this guy over and over, and I know exactly what these survivors are also in for now. So I also really like how Dying Light has become more interesting to Blight players on Suffocation Pit, now Suffocation Pit number 2 instead of 1 as it used to be in the past. Laser will get J-flicked on the pallet and is going to go down. Will be Xeno's first hook into the game, which right next to his rune as well. So if any of these survivors decide to back up into the corner after the unhook, they will find his hex that also conveniently spawned right next to the generator. So a survivor could have literally spawned on it the moment the trial began. Marco, our skiing expert, in the corner. Sadly, this is not Ormond. He must have read something wrong in the invitation ticket. Instead, we are on Suffocation Pit. Lactron will be the next to chase, as he was trying to get the unhook early on Laser. Tried getting the rush extremely quickly through, or the input as quickly as possible, but it's not going to be enough as Lactron finds the tile and will not get hit through the window. Xeno's just probably going to return to the hook and defend Laser, his former teammate that he still holds near and dear to his heart, I would assume. So he wants to be even closer in game to him. As he's now, oh, but Lactron somehow slips through. He botted up as Ace, and he will be able to get past Xeno and get the honor onto Laser.
Very insane so far here. Good moves by the survivors, but Xeno now winning the control over the game here. Quickly touching on V1, he's actually in the VC with Elysium right now, so it's not a schedule issue or being unavailable. It is an active and intentional decision to go with Xeno over V1 here, and we do see Laser now on the second stage. Lactron being on the floor, Marco being injured, but we do have an unbreakable coming out by Lactron. He unexpected, trying to waste time by hopping into the locker. Xeno is not going to take that, immediately rushing back towards the midsection of the Suffocation Pit, wants to take the control over the survivors, but they have spread out and they made enough distance here. We do not have an unhook onto Laser yet, so we might see that Xeno is just going to confirm this elimination here, but it was definitely a good comeback strategy from Team Calamity here. 3 survivors back on being alive, 3 survivors being able to either go for the unhook or pressure the generators here. 15 seconds remaining for Laser on the clock. That's going to be Pedro with an injury, and I'm not entirely sure if he's going to make that. A little bit of chaos now on the side of Calamity. They are going to fall apart a little bit here as well. Xeno with the patience, not swinging for anything, but Laser who gets a little bit of a greeting, and that's going to seal the deal. I believe one survivor is going to be removed from the trial with 2 generators remaining here. Good work by Xeno, spreading the pressure, getting some injuries in, but then going back onto the elimination here. So I feel like Xeno got a lot working at the moment for himself. Pedro being found here as well. Unfortunately, this curve not going to be successful around the trial, but we can only hope that Pedro is staying alive here for a little bit, because an immediate redown on the next survivor would be quite rough to handle.
He might have got the kill onto Laser, but unfortunately, it's only going to be 2 dying light stacks as Laser was camped to death going into the second stage on the hook. So Xeno does not have much gen pressure, or doesn't have much gen pressure built up just yet. He still has the Pop Ghost the Weasel that's going to accompany him throughout the entire trial. But no one has spotted his ruin yet. I was gonna say, did Marco just stab on the hook because I heard him open, because I had Xeno opening the locker in the corner, but no, he in fact did not. Also, that could also not be more fortunate for our survivor team. They've got the botany knowledge player with dying light, so that healing speed is going to come in super clutch if we have a lengthy late game that requires a lot of resets. See a beautiful crouch by Marco, going to avoid the attempted flick by Xeno. Manages to get through the window as well. Double thoughts right back to safety. Xeno slips off the tree. Doesn't manage to catch up to Marco just yet, but inevitably the 4th rush is going to come in clutch and secure the hit, the injure onto our very confident Felix player who's wearing bright orange in this trial, and he's going to get the fast forward right after as well. Xeno trying to go with some extremely creative rushes to get Marco, and it will pay off. He actually manages to get Phoenix to the ground after the 5th rush, even though I did expect Marco to just be sitting on the exact opposite side of the T-wall, but our guy panicked and he vaulted right into the loving embrace of Xeno's Blight, now trying to find the next survivor to chase, as we see Electric immediately rotating over to the reset. And now we see the Strength of Ruin come in as Pedro's 4th generator is not going to be faked out by Xeno, stays on the hill, stays in safety, and Xeno will rush right back over, since he probably doesn't want to lose his ruin that he now knows the survivors are aware of.
And now it's getting really, really rough for the survivor team here. A lot of time has been lost now through some various resets they had together with the next down that is coming in here onto Marco. Hex Ruin still doing a lot of work as well, but we do see the 4th generator coming out here. So at least, even if everything falls apart now, you would force the team in the upcoming trial to go for breaking the 3-gen, which is one step, or one good step to achieve already. But so far we only have 3 stages. We still have 2 fully healthy survivors in the trial, and the generator split is also favorable for the survivors. So we might have still a good option here to go for the pressure. Xeno now going to scout the area a little bit, trying to find the remaining survivors. We do see Pedro rotating a little bit with the med kit here. Flashlight being close as well, but that means that none of the survivors is currently working on the generators, and I'm a little bit worried that might turn out to be a difficult decision here, because we really want to get the percentages into the objectives. Hook stage number 4 so far doesn't look too good for Xeno on paper, but we already have an elimination that in a Blight set especially comes really in clutch. Marco now being Electron being injured. We are going back onto our skiing survivor. Marco is going to face the quick redown here as well. That's not going to be any safety for them, and that's going to be hook stage number 5. We do see a little bit of totem action to go for the reset here in the distance. Second hook onto Marco, so Xeno moving closer and closer towards the second elimination. That would ultimately make it a much more difficult, and especially with this quick down onto Electron, things are now becoming really, really intense. And even though Marco is being healed with the 4 people here to prevent a little bit of the tunnel out. I do feel like Xeno has so much pressure right now that he would take any down very happily.
I was gonna say, you said favorable generators, but this is still sort of a triangle that Xeno had set up, and with Rune inside, I was expecting a 4K with 1 generator remaining, but somehow Lactron was able to get the Rune Totem cleansed, trading in his own health state for it. Did go down, but he's immediately picked back up. So now we see that clutch botany knowledge and the bottom knowledge and the dying light healing speeds now gonna allow our survivors to reset so incredibly quickly. Marco is going to take the clobber and runs right to the short wall jungle gym that's already been used. Xeno probably just waiting for his tokens to return, so he might get the down onto Marco. 2 rushes is all it takes. 2 rushes, 2 survivors slugged, and Marco about to be eliminated the trial, as this is his 3rd individual stage. This is now an enforced 2v1, so I think my assumption of a 4K at 1 generator remaining still stands quite true, as I don't see either of these survivors popping another generator anytime soon.
Yeah, what you can really try now is basically, okay, never mind. I was just about to say you accept the 4K 1 gen and then you at least go for a hatch play or a last second escape, because then when you would go for the 4K on 1 gen remaining, you would at least make the tie condition a little bit harsher when there is an out last second, but it doesn't seem to be the case because Lactron is being found right here. Pedro is still on the floor as well, and this was a very interesting mind game
he went around the outside wall.
Yeah, that's what he was not expecting at all here. So Pedro and Lactron now need to be found, though. We already found him here on the main building. So really, really strong, coming out with a very clean 4K on a generator standing, and that is a very, very good win condition here, because it would now mean that the Elysium survivor only need to care about the generators here. Of course, in a Blight set that is difficult, in the 3 gen against the Blight can be really difficult to break, but at least you have the option to go for full commitment on generator number 5. You wouldn't need to worry about anyone escaping the trial here, and that is going to be a luxury position for Xeno that he has established there for his team. We are waiting a little bit on to Pedro going into the elimination, because we are correctly expecting the deliverance being on display, even though it's not active, as there hasn't been an unhook. Might also be a behavior bug, not entirely sure. Sometimes we are getting tricked from the spectator perspective, but I do think that Lactron was not successful with any unhooks in the trial, so we are just keeping it safe here. We are waiting, and now Mathis, Calamity managed to come back, pulling this 1-1. Now, very difficult survivor performance again. Is it Elysium taking over now, pushing it into a very clean 2-1 and potentially even more?
Yeah, Xeno did just go all out with the "what is it you see in me, come meet me in the Badlands" B0 J-Flick compilation. Cheeky reference, if anyone remembers that. I'm sure a lot of people in chat do. But yeah, Lactron did get the unhook, I believe, onto Marco, but Marco also, who also had second wind, but Xeno immediately got down onto him, so the deliverance didn't even come through. I think that's where it happened, where the 1-for-1 came in. But yeah, this is or expected to say the least, since this is also Elysium's pick, or killer pick. They did go with the Blight. Still curious as to why V1 isn't playing, since he is considered to be one of the greatest Blight players the game has, or that has ever blessed the game, or vice versa, the game has ever blessed us with. So it's very curious to see Xeno on it still manages to get a really admirable result of 4K with 1 generator remaining. And knowing that they have such experienced Blight players on their roster, I don't think there's much Calamity will be able to do in the upcoming Blight set from their killer side. But they still have 2 sets that they have historically already won, or against other teams. So there's still much room for both of these teams to take it. I do think this is going to be a 2-1 with after the Blight set, at least a 2-1 score, but we still got Wraith and Oni right after. So as I say the keywords right after, we'll see you right after a short break with the second round Blight. Calamity on the killer with Elysium on the survivor side. Stay tuned, everybody.
Welcome back, everyone, to Laser on the Blight for Calamity, facing Xeno, Zaka, Granite, and Kexo on the survivor side of Elysium, and we do need 5 generators completed. First of all, we are going to notice an Enduring coming out on Laser, so we will have a very aggressive Blight and a Spice from the shadows as the information tool to go. Very different approach to the previous Blight. Keep in mind, he had to lock that in before we were going into the first one here, and as aggressive as he is, he's going for a swing and a miss. But Xeno is going to try what he's known for, unfortunately immediately ending in an injury, and we have seen it in the second set. Being so confident might backfire, and it's happening right here again. Xeno almost 2-tapped on the first chase, instant down, instant problems for Team Elysium. Mathis, what do you think?
He didn't even rush a single time. Lays off with the basic M1 150% movement speed killer, manages to get 2 hits onto Xeno on the first tile without even using his ability. Finds most progressed generator also, but doesn't have a single regression perk to back up that kick with. Xeno will be unhooked immediately after. Laser this time deciding to go with the ability, manages to get right across and manages to catch up to Xeno, and doesn't get the down. He will not. Xeno somehow barely still makes it through the window and takes borrowed. That must have been a borrowed time, right on time. I don't think that was 8 seconds. That must have been more. But, so it might have been a borrowed time brought in by El Savior there. Laser opting to use his ability this time as well. And Xeno is just going to immediately jump into the even gonna bother jump right back out of it. Are we going to see a DS here? Wow, and we do. Xeno right back off the shoulder of the Blight. And, what's that perk called again? Parental Guidance, I think? Yeah, because he just stunned Laser, there are no scratch marks or pools of blood anywhere nearby, and he just completely vanished. That was beautiful way, Xeno. Did he go basement? We're about to find out. That must be like iron wool or something, or did he have a record or something to muffle his sound, his groans of pain at least? Oh, yeah, there's no way. Okay, he will be found. I was going to say, he must be making some sort of noise inside that locker. We just saw, had a glitch at his perk build, and there's no perk around that would muffle his sound effects. No, he did take one rush it. I was gonna say, through the window he would. But then, not a single Blight rush it so far, besides that so far, and he's already been hooked twice, but it seems like the generators are flying in the background, and I think with 4k to 1 generator remaining in the previous trial, there's not much Laser can still do for his attempt.
Yeah, sometimes I really feel like there's Elysium and Xeno, and it's 2 independent teams that are playing on the survivor side, but Xeno doing an actual good job here with all his distraction, all his little memes, Laser really being busy with him, together with the DS as well. Now they are going for the unhook as well, and 3 generators have already been completed. And Zaka will go down, but Laser will have to chase Xeno, because that is what he was setting up for the elimination early on. So let's see what we are going to see in this chase. Xeno with so much patience. Really great to see that. Wonderfully played here. Wasting so much time from Laser, winning the double vault as well. And there's generator number 4 in the distance. Zaka being rescued or using the unbreakable, not entirely sure, but it seemed to be like that. And that's going to be the down onto Xeno. In the meanwhile, a little bit of reference there by Mathis, and that's going to be now the elimination. But we already have 4 generators. They're potentially working on generator number 5, so the end game is very soon here, and we need to watch out that Calamity isn't dropping the set point, and instead all you have to do now is basically keeping the gens under control, but that is easier said than done.
Yeah, it's only 3 stages. Oh, finally, enduring value. We get the enduring value coming in there again. We just saw it in Xeno's chase. His final one in the Blight trial. Yeah, 1 generator remaining and only 3 stages garnered so far. So it's not looking as if Laser will be able to turn this around unless our survivors decide to just gens any longer. Sleeping is just more right. But yeah, we see two survivors split. Kexo's generator was quite far progressed, but Laser will be able to push him right off. Only has the Pop Ghost Weasel to help him out on the gen kick now in the later stages of the trial, as he didn't have anything else near the beginning. Zaka going for the waves here, trying to fake out fault, but it is not going to work on Laser ultimately, and he will go down. The fourth stage of the trial is about to be claimed, but I do worry with the gen pressure that Elysium have proven themselves to put out time to time, that the last generator might fly very, very soon.
Yeah, that's the big danger here for Laser, and he's actually taking his time though to check on the edge map if there's a survivor. My man seems to have a lot of time while the generators are being progressed around him, and he's not even leaving this hook. Meanwhile, we see 70%, and yeah, Laser, it was a right guess that this survivor has deliverance, but you need to keep the generators under control, and you better keep an eye onto these generators that are currently progressed. A little bit of back and forth here between Zaka and Laser, hiding in the corner, they're avoiding the hit, and there it is. Laser was overcommitting to Zaka here, and that's going to be the second set point for Elysium now. So they are going to take the advantage here, moving us into the Wraith set still, but Calamity with a lot of pressure and responsibility onto their shoulders. They need to win the upcoming set, otherwise they're going to drop down into the lower bracket where they will face Sinner for an extra turn, and Zaka even now with a very, very nice juke here. 4 stages so far, Mathis. That is actually a really rough result.
Andale. I was gonna say, Zaka tries to go for the blind, but doesn't manage to get it, and is going to pay the ultimate price of going down himself. Laser will be able to claim a few more stages, but yes, unequivocally, this is going to be win for Team Elysium. The 2-1 will come through in the overall score as anticipated, considering this is a known strong Elysium pick. Despite not V1 playing the Blight, Zero was still able to pull through with lots of effort, but ultimately the 4K at 1 generator was inevitable, unlike the 2-round that we've just spectated from Elysium's survivor side. Calamity's Laser was not able to tie the result that Xeno was able to get in the previous trial. That is going to close up set number 3 between Elysium and Calamity. After the Blight set, we are now looking at a 3-1 score, and we're about to load into another Calamity pick, namely the Wraith on Temple of Purgation. And one quick recap historically, Calamity already, Elysium won the Wraith set against X9, and I don't recall Calamity playing much Wraith outside of round 1. I believe they were the first team that I spectated on Wraith, and they were able to fork it on 3 as well. But this is a killer that Elysium is known on as well, to have beaten X9 on in the semifinals. So they should be coming into this trial with better experience and lots more confidence than Calamity, despite it being their pick. Regardless, I'm digressing or going ahead of myself here. We will have a quick break and be back right after with set number 4 between Elysium and Calamity.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the potentially last set between Elysium and Calamity. If Elysium is coming out strong again, this time we're gonna watch Hein taking the Wraith against Zaka, Xeno, Royalty, and Grenout, and we're on the Temple of Purgation, a rough map for the killer. You need to spread your pressure as early as possible and across multiple survivors, and for that we are having a bamboozle and a sloppy butcher here to force a little bit of longer resets and time waste. Zaka though facing a very ambitious swing, and that's going to go into the first injury, kicking the gen in the meanwhile, putting the eruption on it, and immediately returning back onto Zaka. Will we see a buddy being thrown in? That's the question here. A little bit of back and forth. Zaka going to stay the winner for now and will also reach the pallet in time, paired with some great patience here so far. Really looking confident in the first seconds on the Temple of Purgation. I'm really surprised to not see the Corrupt intervention here on this big map, but Zaka eventually still going down relatively quickly, and potentially Hein feeling quite good about that.
We must not forget a 4K on 3 is what Hein got against the Misery. That's your rhyme of the day. Again, in the very first round, Hein already, or the first Wraith game that I even spectated in, or was allowed to commentate in this tournament, was Hein on Wraith against Team Misery, and he was able to get a 4K on 3, as I've already pointed out. So we should under no circumstance underestimate his power on this killer. As we just saw Zaka get absolutely flick-flipped around the Z-wall, was able to get the first stage of the game, as well as the first generator. We hear pop in the distance. Hein trying to find... Oh, goodbye. He's running against the wall. Die, you here, right? I didn't lag out. Yeah, he lagged out. That's a DC. That's a DC. I hear him walking. Oh, hell yeah. Well, Hein decided to hop on the treadmill and didn't feel like playing anymore, so I guess he over-prioritized cardio this game.
Oh, we can only hope that there's somewhat an information or like a reason for it. We will go on a break, ladies and gentlemen, and we will update you after a short break.
We have returned. The wait was not long. Dyer will tell you about what's going on. The news will not be great. Don't get your hopes up. We are all in the same boat. I say, what the fuck?
This is an introduction to the housekeeping like never before. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, so Hein is responsible for his DC. I'm not entirely sure if we are allowed to share it, what actually happened in the back pocket, but if someone remembers the legendary Mad or 5 and what once happened regarding family and internet router, then you can all imagine. So he's responsible for the DC. Calamity instantly took it. It would be one stage. Survivors of Elysium count as escaped after getting the generators done. And Calamity then asked, can we please forfeit? Because we are so far behind schedule with all the server issues, and they all have early work tomorrow. That goes for Elysium as well, by the way. And we said, well, under this specific circumstance, we will allow the forfeit here, because we also felt like it wouldn't make sense to keep the stream alive for another 30 minutes just to show you an upcoming trial that is decided from the start. Therefore, first of all, thank you for Calamity for being so understanding about the decision, and also finding a solution. Elysium, congratulations to taking the 3-1. I think it's ending very, very bad and very, very sad here. But sometimes it is very sad. And sometimes it ends with basically getting one staged to higher reasons. To everyone who says, well, how is it his responsibility? Well, of course, strictly seen, it is not. But how can we decide when a player is telling someone to turn the router off, pulling the plug, the cable, etc.? So we have to go by player's responsibility, and that can only be scored like this.